Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Emezi, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode.
Today's episode is called The High Performer's Dilemma. One of the things that partners of high-performing porn addicts or even their therapists will say is, he doesn't want help. So therapists will reach out and say, hey, I hear you work with CEOs, I hear you work with business owners, and you're discreet. I'd like you to help me with this guy. He's got some issues, but I think his main thing is his behavior with pornography. And frankly speaking, I can't handle him anymore. I'll be honest with you, I don't even want to waste your time, but I said I'll refer him out to somebody. I don't think he wants help. Or a spouse will say, listen, I've given up on this guy. I don't think he even wants help. So I'm going to give you my take, especially if you're a high performer. I've worked with high-functioning men for a very long time. These are men who are business owners, run multiple businesses, have very highly charged careers that have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, often a lot of payroll that they need to make. They are highly leveraged on certain aspects of their life, their mortgages, their loans, their responsibilities. They're looked up to by others and they have to deliver. And what I've come to see is that it's not always that you are in denial, like most people think. It's not always that you are minimizing. Sometimes it's very simple. It is that you just don't know how to take care of yourself because nobody has ever showed you how to do so as a high performer. Like, I understand this because I've been a high performer. As I entered into the late and maintenance stage of my life, I chose to become a high performer. But there were many things I had to learn, and a lot of my slips and even relapses in the late stage came from learning how to be a high performer and manage my life at that level. We often speak of fight, flight, and freeze responses to trauma. But when I work with a lot of high-performing men in the chaos of their lives. And their lives are chaotic because when you're a high performer, there is nothing like a balance. You have to just choose your priorities. Am I choosing my kids right now? Am I choosing my wife right now? I was literally coaching this morning, and I had mentioned, when you have a herd of elephants running at you, what do? When you have all these gigantic responsibilities and tasks coming at you in 1 week, how do you handle it? Well, you shoot the biggest elephant first. That's what you do. Sometimes the biggest elephant it could be in your business. It could be sales or marketing. It could be a specific client who's about to quit. You guys account. It could be somebody that needs to be fired. It could be a loan that needs to be paid off or that needs to be secured. In your personal life, it could be a family issue. It could be one of your kids who's acting up and you need to show up at school. You need to do something about it. It could be an issue with your wife, with your partner. But you need to be able to pick the big one, and you need to be able to prioritize. You cannot do balance when you are a high performer. So I see a lot of chaos. But then what I see on the other side, especially when it comes to the relationships high performers have, whether it's with their clients, their employees, their managers, their boss, or their wife, there's a lot of smoothing things over. There's a lot of apologizing. There's a lot of managing and controlling the optics, the way that you are viewed by the world. Because your kids need to see you in a certain light. Your wife needs to see you in a certain light. Your employees need to see you in a certain light. So you are always working so hard to be outwardly composed. But inwardly, you're falling apart. You're unraveling. And your behavior with pornography is not helping that. In fact, it makes it even more challenging for you to manage. So you work really hard to keep up appearances till the point that you're even fooling yourself. Some of you feel too that in order to be loved, you need to be providing some sort of value. You're like, in order to be loved, I have to be making money. I have to be working hard. I can't be complaining. I can't tell people that, damn, I'm really worried about how I'm going to make the bills next month. Like, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a boss. I'm a leader. I'm a high performer. I can't tell anybody that. So there's always this outward show of strength. But underneath all of that success, underneath all the trappings of your success, the nice condo, the beautiful car, the vacations, the wife, the kids, all those things, you are exhausted. And it's not that you're exhausted from work. Oh, that shit's easy. We know how to deal with tiredness from work and fatigue. We just keep going. We know how to deal with that. But we are exhausted. Listen to me, brother, from never feeling safe enough to stop working for your worth. I'll say it again. You are exhausted from never feeling safe enough to stop working for your worth. I have been there myself. This is not something I've spoken about often on the podcast because my reboots came when I was a low performer. I was not performing well. I made a choice not to do the recovery thing and go back to the person I used to be, being a regular guy and having a regular safe life. I wanted it all. And there's nothing for guys who are in recovery to become successful. That's why I chose rebooting. But I never felt safe enough to stop working for my worth. Maybe you can relate. Somebody says, "Oh, my husband, he doesn't want to seek help for this. He says he's not that bad. It's not that big a deal." I'm not hearing resistance. That's not what I hear. What I hear is fear. What I hear is, like, if I put everything down, who am I without it? If I was to put all these things down, which includes your pornography, which includes the behaviors around it, who am I without it? I don't know how to be okay with me. That is what I hear, that you don't know. And like I said, this was true for me. I didn't believe in myself in the early days of my reboots. I didn't want to change. I just wanted all the noise to stop. I wanted all the chaos to stop. I wanted the shame to stop. And like I said, I wasn't even a high-functioning high performer at that point. I was just a mess. And back then, I didn't know how to, drop into my feelings. I didn't know how to, be safe in my own body. I didn't know how to be safe in my life. My life was chaos. So here's what I've learned, and here's what I teach men, high-performing men, that rebooting is not just about stopping your behavior. It's not just about stop viewing pornography. It's also about learning how to care for yourself, perhaps for the first time in your life. It's about learning how to receive love without performing as a man for it. Like, look at how I look at the money I'm making, look at how I'm providing. It's about replacing shame with safety. It's about finally being honest, no matter how successful you look on the outside. Okay? So I hope this resonates for you. If you're somebody who is quietly falling apart, your life is unraveling behind the mask that you're wearing, or somebody who is, then let's have a conversation. Let's talk. There's a different way to do this. Rebooting is not what you think it is. Some guys think it's some step program. They're like, it's going to be boring. It's going to be talking about my porn addiction and set. No, it is nothing like what you are imagining. It is something that is going to heal every aspect of your life. It is something that's going to address the very thing that is causing you a massive amount of stress in your life. Guys think, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to try to get me to stop viewing pornography. Bro, that's the reason why you're not getting on a call, because you think that's what we're going to do, when literally we don't give a shit about that. We're fixing everything else in your life, and we respect the fact that you have other priorities. You have stress. You have deals to close. You have time to manage. There's a lot going on, but it is your constantly being in those things and not knowing how to manage your nervous system, yourself, and your feelings that leads to you using pornography. As professionals, high-performing professionals ourselves, we understand this. Do not forget as you listen to this that I myself am a partner in multiple businesses. This is my main thing. But Lord knows that if I had to depend on elevated recovery to survive, to pay the mortgage for my home here and in other countries, it would not happen. I run other businesses. I have no balance in my life. My life is based on priorities, and it is chaotic a lot of times. But I know how to do what we call clearing the calculator. When the calculator is full, I can clear that and I can sit down to deliver this message to you with absolute presence. But the moment this ends, I'm off to the next priority. It doesn't stop. There's no pause. There's nothing. It's into the next thing. And if you're a man who can relate to that, if you're just like, man, that is how my week is, then let us have a conversation. Go to the description, use one of the links there. Let's chat, okay?
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out-of-control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.